What is up, you guys? We are talking change today, and not just change, but like iconic transformation, okay? The desire to change is a human intrinsic desire that we oftentimes can't ignore. However, not everybody actually leans into the desire to change and actually takes action around it to see the change that they're craving. And we're gonna talk about why today. If you guys don't know me, it's Andy Graft, and we're talking all things iconic living. I wanna teach you the mindset shifts and the perspective shifts that I have found myself using and implementing and incorporating into my life that has allowed me to live the life that I do now, which as a 28-year-old is completely financially free, running my own businesses. I am happy, healthy, I am wealthy, I am truly living a life that without like an ego, most women tell me that they desire. And I've been showing up on Instagram for honestly 8 years. I've been working with people in the transformation space, whether that's in sobriety, whether that's in business, whether that's in fitness, health, mindset. I've been helping people along their journeys, and I have so many things that I want to share with you guys. So while I haven't been on the YouTube in a really long time, I'm going to be making these videos much more frequently because I have this deep rooted desire to share the knowledge and the value and all these ways of thinking that are so common and natural for me now, but weren't always the way my brain worked. So if you guys are craving change in your life, but you constantly feel like you're back at square one, whether that's every Monday, every first of the month, every year, New Year's is coming up, and you're like, wow, I have the same resolutions I had last year. Like, why haven't I made any changes? We're gonna talk about something today that I have seen as the most common thing that holds people back from making true transformation in their life. And here's what it is. It is the fear of the unknown. And you might be like, oh, that's okay, easy. Let me explain a little bit deeper though. If you want to see true change, you're gonna have to shelve the version of you that you are right now, that you currently are, and you're going to have to lean into and start taking action as the version of yourself that you aren't quite ready to become. Here's the reason why. Now, I think a lot of people have this hesitation where they're like, well, Annie, I want to change and I want to, lose weight. I want to make more money. I want to have better relationships. I want to, have less debt. I want to be more educated. I want to show up on social media. I want to have better friends. I want to love my life more. I want to be connected to a deeper purpose. I want all these things, but tell me why you're not doing any of that. I will tell you why. I will tell you why, actually. It's because you're trying to keep up with the version of you that you are right now. You're trying to keep in touch with all the habits, the patterns, the routines, the cycles that are so comfortable to you, and you're trying to add in other things. New routines, new habits, new changes in your life that you are just fingers crossed hoping will catch on, and then the old patterns will fall off. And here's what I gotta say about that. You have to shelf the current you. If you are not satisfied with where you're at right now, you have to shelf it. And the reason why I say shelf it and not trash it, ditch it, throw it away is because we still love this version of ourselves who we are today, right? She's gotten us through so many hard things over the past X many years, right? So without resentment or hatred toward this version of you that you are, there needs to be this recognition that she is not getting you to where you want to be. So we're gonna shelve her, right? We're gonna shelve her, and in place, we are going to start implementing and adding in and becoming the version of ourselves that we wanna be. And this at first feels really difficult, right? Because I know you're probably telling yourself, well, I want to stay in touch with my current friends. Like I love getting on the phone with Bestie and just shit talking and gossiping, and it's all lighthearted and we're just complaining about work and our husbands and da 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 da. I love that, you know. And well, I love that I have the foods that are real comfort foods in the back of my pantry. That feels nice, and I enjoy the fact that I've had friends since high school, you know, and I'm still hanging out with those same people. Yeah, okay, I get it. And I get that your current routine, the current way you live your life is comfortable. And this is where people get stuck, right? Because if you have an option of comfortability, if you have an option that is comfortable to fall onto, the uncomfortable action, the uncomfy is what I say, the uncomfy, maybe you can implement new things for a week, 2 weeks, a month. But ultimately, if you're trying to do both things, be both versions of yourself, you're gonna hit burnout. You're gonna be in an identity crisis almost, like showing up as this higher elevated version of you while still dabbling in the habits and the routines that old you takes part in, right? So ultimately, that's where we get to the beginning phase of that cycle, where you're like back in your old habits, back in your old routines, back around the same people that you've always hung around with, back doing the same old shit, back with your excuses, and when you're craving change again. So the reason that I say shelf it is because you can always go back to the old you. Like, it's not that serious. Like, I promise you. That bar that's there on Friday nights, you go there and you get wine drunk with the girls, that will still be there in 6 months from now if you want to dabble in those activities. The friends that you've known since high school, even if you go MIA for 6 months, they're still going to be there. The old eating patterns that you're, you know, having right now as a part of your life and as a barrier to progress in your physical body, that same trash food will still be there in 6 months from now if you choose to go back to it. But the idea of being two versions of yourself simultaneously is going to, honestly, really, it's going to be a heavy lift for you. It's going to be a heavy lift, and then you're going to get to a point, like I said before, where you are trying to be all things, and it's hard to juggle 10 balls, right? So I'm going to give you guys an example because, like I said, change has been probably like the most constant thing in my life for as long as I can remember. When I decided, so I'm about 16 months into sobriety, and this is just like the most recent drastic change that I've experienced that I was craving for so long. But I'm going to show you guys how, before this idea of like shelving that version and leaning into a new version, how I was just kind of like continuing a cycle that was not serving me. So alcohol was definitely a heavy part of my lifestyle, and it had been for years. And this isn't going to be like my whole sobriety journey, but it was something that was having enough of an effect on me, negative, that I knew it wasn't exactly serving me, but it was keeping me comfortable in that it kept me around the people that I had gotten close with. It, you know, made me feel comforted in that I didn't have to approach hard emotions, hard feelings, the feeling of loneliness, heartbreak, heartache, depression, anxiety, right? Like the idea of consuming alcohol, like numbed those things right there in that moment. And anyway, it was a comfort habit, okay? But it had enough, like I said, it had enough of a negative effect on me that I knew, I just knew it wasn't serving me and it wasn't allowing me to progress in the way that I wanted to progress. So before actually starting my now 16 months of sobriety, I would do these things where I would be like, you know what, I'm going to not go out this week. I'm gonna like not drink this weekend. And hopefully by Monday I'll have my shit figured out, right? And so then I would try, you know, staying away from alcohol for a few days and get to Monday and be like, damn, I did it. I must not have a problem. Like, this is fine. This is great. And then that would wrap me right back into, oh, now it's Thursday night. All my girlfriends are going out. Okay, I'm going to go out because I don't have a problem. And so I was dabbling, see how I'm kind of dabbling in the old me where I didn't want to give up going out with friends or this identity of like a party girl and a yes girl. I used to call myself, like always down for anything. I didn't want to give that up. So I was like, I'm gonna just like kind of also dabble in this other version of myself, this sober version for a few days. And then like, we'll see where that leaves me, right? But there was no real commitment to anything longer than like 3 days a weekend, right? And in other attempts at sobriety, I would do like sober October or dry January or no alcohol November, where I would eliminate alcohol, but I would still continue doing the things that drunk Annie would do. I'd still go out and I'd tell myself, see, I can like go out and have fun and be around all of the same people. I still did pretty much the same shit I was doing, hang out with the same people, honestly avoiding a lot of things that I shouldn't have been avoiding, internal work, business development, career development, fitness goals, those type of stuff. Like, it's not that while I was doing these like, you know, month-long stints with sobriety, I really wasn't focused on anything else other than just, okay, just don't drink. But you can still do all the other stuff. Like everything else like is fine. Like, you know, go out with your friends and like go sit at the table, even though they're all, you know, drinking margs and then getting a little drunk and then going out to the next bar. And you can still do all of that, but just like don't drink. And then honestly, the weight of balancing both of those identities of like, wow, like this is the point I kind of got to where I was like, I am not enjoying this like sober identity because I wasn't really fully leaning into it. And I wasn't really enjoying the old identity where I was like enjoying the alcohol because I wasn't consuming the alcohol. So I was still like going along with emotions. It led to ultimately no true transformation because I was trying to do both, right? So that's just an example. When I decided like, fuck it, I need some real change. I need to make a real change. I told myself this idea of shelving. I'm gonna shelve this Annie. I'm gonna shelve the Annie that, you know, goes out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and feels like shit Monday morning, and then works really hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then repeats this cycle. I'm gonna shelve that version. With that means shelving the habits and the patterns and the social circles that version of her feels comfortable in. So yeah, that meant removing myself from normal social outings that I would typically go to that weren't even necessarily the problem. It was just that it was the environment that old me used to dabble in. See? I actually just heard a quote on a podcast from Alex Hormozy, and he said, the best way to see change is to change your environment. And that's essentially what I'm saying here. When I actually saw true transformation, it was because I shelved that old me and I put on, it was almost like, it's like putting on a mask, putting on a costume where I was like, I'm gonna be this new me. I'm gonna be, and it's not like a fake it till you make it, but it's like, I'm gonna do all the things that this ideal higher version of me would do. And I'm just gonna do them. Like, I'm just gonna fucking do them. And for me, that meant stepping back into bodybuilding. The last time I stepped on stage was like 2018. So it had been a while. And but I knew, I was like, you know what? The higher version of me prioritizes her health, prioritizes her fitness. She looks the part of a trainer. She is healthy. She is, you know, dedicated to her habits. She is somebody that people are like, oh, she's a hard worker, you know? So I really got clear on what this higher version of me, this ideal version of me looked like, so that I could step in and start participating in the habits and the patterns and the routines that higher version me would do. You know, and with the relationship tie-in, yeah, this can be quite uncomfortable because not only are you removing yourself from old environments, we're talking social environments here, that means like, for me, this higher version of me, she was in environments and social environments where people were elevating themselves. People were working hard on themselves. People were 7-figure business owners. People were, self-aware and thinking in a certain way and offering that level of conversation to me as a person at their table. And it felt really uncomfortable to actually be the current version of myself, putting on a mask of like, I'm gonna try to be this elevated version, because I was so used to the comfortability of how I was showing up and how I had routinely showed up for X many years, right? So I'm not gonna front you guys and say like, oh, this is so easy, why aren't you doing it? Most people probably can understand the concept here, but most people won't do it because of the discomfort. And I'm just gonna say, yeah, it's comfortable knowing where you're gonna spend your Friday nights. It's comfortable knowing you can pick up the phone and call bestie and complain about your day. It's comfortable knowing that you have stand-in plans, like always a constant plan with the girls on Thursday night for wine. That's comfortable. It's comfortable knowing when you have you're trying this new diet and you hit those cravings hit. It's comfortable knowing you have the junk food in the back of the cabinet. It's comfortable knowing that, yeah, you could be researching that new business idea, but like Netflix feels really good right now. All those things are comfortable. But to see true change, you have to get okay with getting uncomfy. You have to. Sacrifice has to be there. If you want this elevated version of yourself, you're gonna have to untie the stronghold you have on the version of yourself that you're at today, which is so crazy because like you might be sitting there like, well, yeah, Annie, I don't even want to be this version of me. I'm so sick of like these habits. I'm so sick of this pattern and routine, this cycle. Of course, I'm fine like releasing the stronghold on this version of me. Are you though? Are you though? Because most people understand, like I said, the idea of it. But then when it actually comes to putting action behind that idea, they lean on comfort rather than being okay with the uncomfy. They say, oh, the idea of going into a yoga class at 6 a.m. and then socializing and trying to make friends as an adult, that's uncomfortable. The idea of, getting up when my alarm goes off, that's uncomfortable. The idea of resisting Thursday night drinks and staying in, researching that business idea, that doesn't feel really great right now. The idea of throwing out all the junk food and doing a grocery haul that is high in protein and whatever you're following, that's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to stop spending your money the way you're spending your money and start investing in yourself. It's uncomfortable. But what do you want? Do you want the comfort of where you're at now, knowing that there is underlying discomfort because you know you're meant for more? Or are you okay with leaning into the discomfort, getting uncomfy, in order to tackle all those things and become that higher version of yourself that you know you're capable of? It's what I see holds most people back. The idea makes sense. It really does. But if you want to see true transformation, you have to shelve the version of you that you're done with. Because if you're going to do both simultaneously, honestly, it's going to be really easy to just fall back on comfort in those hard times. And the hard times are going to come, right? So when I really decided that I was going to fucking do sobriety, like for sure, I had to tie myself to this goal, this bodybuilding goal. I tied myself to business goals. I tied myself to new relationships. I was like, you know what? Feels really hard to make new girlfriends right now, but because I was so comfortable in my old relationships. But like, I'm gonna make plans with this girl from the gym, and I'm gonna go to church on Sunday instead of sleeping in like I would usually do. I'm gonna, network with that group that I know they're crushing it, and I'm gonna feel a little bit of imposter syndrome sitting at that table, but like, I'm just gonna do it. Because the second you honestly build a habit out of getting uncomfy, you're gonna realize how fucking capable you are. You're gonna realize the things you thought last week that were hard are now the norm in your day-to-day. And the more you can build confidence in yourself and in what you're capable of, what you're capable of enduring, what you're capable of consistently doing and showing up for yourself, I promise you, yes, I'm not gonna say the discomfort goes away entirely, but it's something where it's like, yeah, whew, I know this is gonna be uncomfy, but like, let's fucking go. And that's the mentality I have had on life, honestly, for the last like 12 years. And I think it's a mentality that like I said, most people understand, but most people won't actually act on. So what are you gonna do? Get uncomfy or stay comfortable in what is already very uncomfortable? If this video resonated with you, I challenge you. What change do you want to see? What iconic transformation are you craving right now in life? Sit with that. And then come up with this like prototype, this like character of the future version of you who is living those changes. Okay? Then work backwards. What's her daily routine look like? What time does she wake up? Who does she hang out with? What activities does she spend her time doing? How does she treat people she's in a relationship with? Who does she put energy into as a person? Like, what is she all about? What's she doing? Like, get really clear about that, and then, ready or not, step into it and start fucking doing the do. Start showing up as her. You know, the idea of manifestation and like, you know, being really clear on that. People say like, I'm gonna manifest that version of myself. This is that, because while you might be feeling like you're wearing a mask, going through all these motions, one day you're gonna wake up with your alarm and you're gonna go right to that workout class, and it's gonna feel like, damn, this feels fucking good. This is the only way I would spend my Thursday mornings. And it's not gonna feel like imposter syndrome. But you have to start doing it and not give yourself the fallback option of the comfort that you're currently existing in. So I wanted to share that with you guys. If this hit home, if this resonated, share it with a friend. I don't know, comment below. Like I said, I haven't been on the YouTube in a long time, but I have something really exciting coming. If you are gonna stick along and be a part of these videos, like as in consuming them, watching them, commenting on them, follow along, go click subscribe, whatever it is, and more videos like this to come. If you guys have topic ideas that you want me to touch on, please feel free to leave them below. Go be fucking iconic.